Gashegu Sembatia to bring you this morning's news update live on channel 44. We'll start with what's happening in our nation here in Uganda. According to the papers today, Namuganza censored how MPs voted. President Museveni is now to decide her fate. It's all in today's New Vision. And also they bring you Magistrate Kamasanyu, the magistrate who fights for wildlife conservation. We applaud her. She's a daughter of the ministry, of the Robert Kyaja Ministries, and this is a very good report about her. Elsewhere, Museveni, Speaker, commit 350 million shillings for Hoima Hospital. They bring you a story on the budget, 50 trillion to deliver economic recovery. And also, a land minister wants State House to probe her staff in today's New Vision. Namaveluzila transmission line ready, and the New Vision also brings you holiday work. They bring us to biology, Swahili, and senior 6 mathematics in today's New Vision. Off to the Daily Monitor, they bring you how Namuganza talked her way into trouble. An overwhelming majority of lawmakers yesterday voted to censure Lands Minister Pacis Namuganza over, among others, indiscipline. But when did the rain start beating the outspoken Bukono County representative? The Daily Monitor brings you a detailed story on that report. And in the Daily Monitor today also, Uganda starts fast oil drilling. This is about the oil sector. It's on page 8. And body of Ugandan trader shot in Rwanda repatriated. Jack Tulia Hikayo Rachigezi, who is aged 52, of Karera village in Kamwezi sub-county, Ruchiga district, was shot dead on Tuesday last week by Rwandan security operatives. Details are on page 2 of today's Daily Monitor. Over 50 chief administration officers interdicted over corruption. That's according to the IGG in our regional news. Loggers, charcoal dealers get ultimatum. And also there are tenders in today's Daily Monitor. Do not miss the deals at UCC, UNOC, UNHCR, East Africa Corp, World Vision, PSFU, Equate Africa, among others. Budget cuts raise questions over government priorities. It's all in today's Daily Monitor. Get yourself a copy and know these stories and more. Right now, allow me to take you into today's international news update. I'll now be joined by Livingstone Kawesi for sign language interpretation and translation. In neighboring Congo, a suspected rebel attack in the east of the DRC has killed at least 20 people. Local officials said fighters from the Allied Democratic Forces raided a village overnight. They killed people in a bar before setting them on fire. The attack was in the Beni area of North Kivu province. The ADF rebels, who are allied to the Islamic State group, have killed hundreds of people in assaults and bombings in the eastern DRC. Ugandan and Congolese armies have been fighting rebel groups in a joint offensive in the region where there has been militia violence for decades. Off to Kenya, the opposition leader Raila Odinga has said his political coalition does not recognize William Ruto as the president of Kenya and declared the new Kenyan government as illegitimate. Mr. Ruto beat him in last August's poll, but Mr. Odinga, who appeared at Nairobi's Kamkunji Stadium, along with his running mate Martha Karua and other allies, repeated claims that the results were manipulated, claims that had already been rejected in court. He declared that he and his movement reject the 2022 election result totally, which was received with great cheers and applause from an adoring crowd. The 2022 election was Mr. Odinga's 5th attempt at presidency, but he was beaten by Mr. Ruto, who was declared winner in the absence of 4 election commissioners who dissented and accused the commission chairman of delivering what they called opaque results. In Ethiopia, the head of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, Patriarch Abune Matthias, has called on all bishops around the world to urgently convene in the capital, Addis Ababa, as the church faces a major split. This comes after a group of 3 bishops announced the formation of a separate church decision-making body. They appointed more than 20 bishops to replace those working in Ethiopia's Oromia region and some parts of southern Ethiopia. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church forms Ethiopia's largest religious group with tens of millions of followers. A previous division in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, which lasted for nearly 3 decades, was only resolved in 2018. That time the split was with the church members in the US. This time it comes within Ethiopia. One of the breakaway bishops, Abune Sawiros, said they made the move to save those followers of the church who were led by the clergy that was not diverse or inclusive and who did not understand their language. In Asia, China's most northern city, Mohe, has recorded its lowest temperature since records began. Mohe, known as China's North Pole, is in the province of Heilongjiang, close to the Russian border. On Sunday, its local meteorological station recorded a record low temperature of 53 degrees Celsius at 7 a.m. The previous coldest temperature on the record in the city was minus 52.3 degrees Celsius in 1969. However, the temperature is still shy of China's national record. The coldest temperature ever recorded in China is minus 58 degrees Celsius in the city of Genhe, Inner Mongolia, in December 2009. By contrast, the lowest temperature recorded in the UK is minus 27.2 degrees Celsius, set in different parts of Scotland in 1895, 1982, and 1995. Moving on, a former Russian parliamentary commander who claimed asylum in Norway earlier this month has been arrested by police. Andriy Medvedev is being held under the Immigration Act, according to police spokesperson John Andres Johansen. His lawyer, Brian Jelf, recently told the press that the 26-year-old had been moved to a detention center in the Oslo area. Mr. Medvedev, who crossed into Norway from Russia's far north 2 weeks ago, is believed to be the first member of the Wagner Group to defect to the West. The mercenary group, which is believed to have close ties to the Kremlin, has been used in many Russian operations. UK officials estimate it makes up to 10% of Moscow's forces in Ukraine. German's Foreign Minister Anne Baerbock has said she would not stand in the way of Poland if it were to send Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine. Ukraine has called on the West to provide the German-made tanks, which they say will help them defeat Russia. Ukraine's Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba told the press that Germany had the power to save the lives of many Ukrainian soldiers. But Germany is yet to agree, and its export laws have stood in Poland's way. On Sunday, Ms. Baerbock said Poland had not yet asked for export permission. In the United States, a gunman killed 7 people before being arrested in California yesterday, just 2 days after a shooting claimed 11 lives at a popular dance hall. The latest attacks occurred at 2 separate locations in the coastal city of Half Moon Bay, about 13 miles south of San Francisco. The attacker was identified as 67-year-old Zhao Chunli, a local resident. It comes as the state mourns the death in majority Asian Monterey Park during celebrations for the Lunar New Year. The suspect on Monday was filmed by news cameras turning himself into the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office about 2 hours after the attack. In Sweden, Sweden should not expect Turkey to sit back to back its NATO membership bid, according to Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan yesterday, days after a copy of the Quran was banned in Stockholm protests. Sweden applied to join NATO after Russia invaded Ukraine, but needs Turkey, already a member, to approve it. Kurdish protesters in Sweden hung an effigy of Mr. Erdogan this month following the Quran banning. Sweden should not expect support from us for NATO, according to Erdogan in response. Saturday's protest, but not the banning of the book itself, was given prior approval by Swedish authorities. Erdogan condemned the latest protest carried out by a far-right politician from a Danish party as blasphemy not to be defended by free speech. And finally, Japan's Prime Minister says his country is on the brink of not being able to function as a society because of its failing birth rate. Fumio Kishida said it was a case of now or never. Japan, population of 125 million, is estimated to have had fewer than 800 births last year, and in the 1970s, that figure was more than 2 million. Birth rates are slowing in many countries, including Japan's neighbors. The issue is particularly acute in Japan as life expectancy has risen in recent decades, meaning there are a growing number of older people and a declining number of workers to support them. Japan has now the second world highest proportion of people aged 65 and over, about 28% after the tiny state of Monaco, according to the World Bank data. Well, that brings us to the end of this morning's news update. Thank you for watching Channel 44. Today is the 24th of January 2023. It is Pastor Robert Kayanja's 61st birthday. Here at the International News Desk, we want to wish Pastor Robert Kayanja a very happy birthday. May the Almighty Father continue to preserve you under his wings. The Pastors Now program is up next with the different pastors from here at the Miracle Center Cathedral. Stay tuned. You'll be tremendously blessed. God bless you and enjoy your morning.